Okie doke. I guess I'll tee us off, Rachel. All right. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Kevin Owocki, Twitter meme lord and founder of Gitcoin. I am primarily a software engineer in my professional job, and our mission at Gitcoin is to grow and sustain open source software. You may see me talking about public goods, digital democracy, and things like that, because that's what we're building in the Web3 space. But I'm going to be giving a talk today about something that has been a thing in my personal life for about 15 years now. And it's something that I spent a lot of my 20s kind of studying and trying to practice, although I wouldn't overrepresent my ability to do this thing. This thing that I want to talk about with you all, and I'm really excited to sort of blend my sort of like hippy dippy 20s with my hippy dippy cyberpunk 30s, I guess, and blend my Web3 community with sort of this part of my brain is lucid dreaming. So basically, lucid dreaming is the ability to, while you are in a dream, become lucid to the fact that you're in a dream. So it just basically refers to the fact that you're in a world that, oh, hey, Naran, what's up? Lucid dreaming is basically when you're in a dream and you realize that you're in a dream. And what that does is, well, it can wake you up because it can freak you out. And I've gotten freaked out and woken up when I've been in a dream and realized I'm in a dream before, because it's so vivid when you're in a dream. But the thing that if you can hang inside of your dreams, you can do some really great stuff because you're no longer bound by the laws of mathematics or physical reality anymore. And so my sort of lead for this, oh, I can't share screen. I don't know if I could share some visual artifacts, Rachel, that'd be great. But you know, as someone who throughout my teens was into comic books, and throughout my 20s was, I'm ashamed to admit, into Avengers movies, I was just like, I just think it's really cool to think that instead of watching a superhero movie, you could actually have superheroes if you can figure out, or sorry, superpowers if you can figure out how to lucid dream. So you can do things like have superpowers. You can do things like have sex with, like, you know, like with dream characters. You can engage the source of your ideas as if they were physically personified and create psychological and spiritual growth, if that's your thing. I feel like for this group, it's the Metaspace community. Hi, Simona, what's up? I feel like these are all my old consensus homies are rolling in to get weird with me. So it's just to me like this really amazing thing. That was a Simona laugh. I think I heard off mute right there. It's just this really amazing thing to me that basically the way the perceptual processes that experience the world and the ones that generate memories can create, or sorry, that generate these hallucinations can be super vivid. And and to me, just the vividness of lucid dreams is something that I didn't expect on the outside coming in. But when I started doing it and I started getting good at it, I'm not that good at it anymore. I'm kind of in like founder and having 2 kids stress mode in my life right now. But when I was practicing this in my 20s pretty regularly, and doing it, I think I got up to regularly having lucid dreams like twice a week or something like that. There's some people who can do it every single night, but I've never been that mindful. Just how much growth you can experience by not having boundaries. So basically there's this sort of like, I think that like if you think about the constraints that we're bound by, the laws of math, the laws of physics, the laws of humanity, the laws of our economic system, culture, like I'm going from immutability up to mutability. But it's kind of funny how much all of that is ingrained in you as a human. And if all of those constraints are released, how do you explore that space of things that you could do if you weren't bound by physical reality? So like, here's an example of something that will break your brain, or at least it broke my brain when I learned about it. What if you could see in 360 degrees all around you? I can see in my field of vision is maybe 150 degrees right now because I'm a
Like God
human and
mode,
I'm
right?
awake.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But the thing is that like, what if you in a dream you could you could put eyes on all sides of your head and be able to see all around you, but like, would it break your brain to break that constraint and to be able to see in 360 degrees? And so it does break my brain. I was never able to do that, and but someone who's more mindful than me may be able to do that. And before I continue on talking about the sort of like, I guess, use cases of lucid dreaming, having superpowers, like having sex, engaging with your ideas as if they're physically personified, doing weird shit like having 360 degrees vision, I just want to share a couple things that I just want you to know as we're talking about this. And that's that my father is a scientist. I believe in science. This is something that is scientifically verified with empirical evidence. So like, I'm not talking about some like hippy dippy like new age thing that there isn't evidence for. Like, this is actually something that we have repeatable studies that have been done. And for that we have this guy named Stephen LaBerge to thank. He's a PhD and best-selling author, I guess now, because lucid dreaming is kind of taking off. And basically what he did was he took a bunch of test subjects, and he trained them to, when they became lucid, to look left, look right, look left, to get like the Konami code, but like in a dream. And basically the reason why that matters is that they would hook these people up to sleep masks that would track their eye movements. And it turns out when you look left in a dream, then your eyes go left. And when you go right in a dream, then your eyes go right. So basically, he created this communication interface between the dream world and the actual physical world that allowed him to verify when people got lucid and perform all sorts of tests. Like that unlocks a whole bunch of different like science and tests that you can do from there. So I think that I really want to move into discussion because there's a whole world of lucid dreaming to sort of talk about and to explain. And I would recommend that you pick up some books and study it yourself if you're actually serious about it. Let's see, am I sharing my right screen? Let me make sure I'm sharing the right one. I found this this sort of like techniques WikiHow page that is really actually, despite the fact that it's just like a little blog article, is like a really great way to talk about how to induce lucid dreams. And so the first concept is this idea of a reality check that you can start doing in your waking life. And then when you start doing whatever habits you have in your waking life, you'll bring into your dream life. And so basically the idea is to start doing reality checks so that you train your brain to always be checking whether or not you're in a dream or you're not. And once you do a reality check and it fails, then you can see that you're actually in a dream. So these are all different reality checks that this website recommends. Basically, it's like look in a mirror and see if your reflection looks normal, push against a wall or a table and see if it goes through. Flipping off of a light switch or on a light switch is really popular. The one that I really like is a reality check that involves pinching your nose and seeing if you can breathe. And if you can still breathe, then you're dreaming. So basically, like you and I, we could do a reality check right now. Just like take your fingers and make an L, hold it up to the screen, put it over the bridge of your nose, and cover your nostrils and try to breathe in. I can't breathe in. I'm stuffy anyway. But the if you do that and you can breathe, then you're in a dream. And I know that sounds very silly, but I cannot tell you how many times I was in a dream and I was like, maybe I'll do a reality check. And I was like, no, I know that I'm awake. That's silly. And then I do the reality check and I'm dreaming. It's really crazy how your mind can be sort of lulled into a sense of passivity. Um, Another technique that I used to do is called wake back to bed. So basically, most of the times when you're going to be lucid dreaming, you're going to be in REM sleep, which is the part of sleep where you're like, so deep sleep is delta sleep as far as I understand, and then REM sleep is like your most awake sleep possible, and it's when most of your dreams happen, and it typically happens towards the end of a 6 to 8 hour sleep cycle. So basically, if you set your alarm for 5 hours after your bedtime, so basically way after you've gone to sleep, so you're getting more REM sleep, and then when you've slept for 5 hours, just get up and like do something associated with waking life, like walk around or like drink some coffee, engage your mind, and then fall back asleep. Then you're going to be way more likely to have lucid dreams when you do that. And you can do reality checks during that time in order to get your mind primed for it. There's a thing called mnemonic induction of lucid dreams, which, despite y'all are calling me a meme lord, I actually don't know what that is or how it works. I was never able to get mild to work for me, so I'm just going to skip over that one. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about is keeping a dream journal, which is probably the most hippy dippy of all of the advice that anyone could give. But basically, uh, writing down your dreams. So basically, dreams are super vivid when you're in them, but as soon as you wake up, I think of it, it's like Moloch, not Malloc. Maloc stands for memory allocation in computers. Basically, it's the process through which computers free up memory and then overwrite that memory with something else. Basically, your brain, after you wake up, will just like garbage collect all of your dreams, and as you go throughout your day, reallocate that memory. And if you write down your dream journal, you can create a bridge between your waking mind and your dream mind, yeah, Moloch is not Moloch. Thank you, Yaller. And that'll create a bridge between the two worlds in your mind, and that's just super important for becoming lucid more often. So those are some techniques that you can try. I'll also share a couple resources on the chat right here in case anyone is interested in it. This is a 5-minute lightning talk that I gave at Ignite Boulder about lucid dreaming before I was ever in the blockchain space. I was in the Boulder hippie space, and all of those people are all about lucid dreaming. And then a movie that you must watch if you have not seen it is Waking Life. It's this movie that the whole movie is just basically in a dream, and it's just like the most trippy shit ever. It's this guy engaging with all of his ideas and engaging with dead people, and basically becoming lucid throughout it. And it's just it's like, it's cliche to say, but this movie changed my life. It literally got me into lucid dreaming. It got me into thinking that I didn't need to be chasing like the traditional parts of success, like I didn't need to be chasing women, I didn't need to be chasing money, I didn't need to be chasing fame. Like, it made me feel like there was something inside of myself that was absolute freedom, and it really changed the course of who I was in my 20s. And so I would just definitely recommend checking out Richard Linklater's Waking Life. It's a really, really amazing movie. So that's my presentation. That's what I got. I would love to open up into discussion and sort of hear about other people's experiences with lucid dreams and what their interests are, and we can sense make about it together. So thank you very much, Rachel and Yaller, and curious to hear what other people have to say about this.
Thanks, Kevin. I guess I'll go ahead and start. I lucid dream all the time.
Oh,
And
can I not
talking
hear
about,
you?
oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you, Rachel. I don't know if Kevin, are you having trouble?
Yeah, I guess that I wasn't getting any audio through my speakers. I don't know if anyone was saying anything as I was speaking that whole time, but if you
No,
were,
no. It was all good. I think we were quietly consuming. Can you hear
okay,
Rachel now, though?
Yeah,
cool.
can you hear me now?
I can. Yeah, it was a headphone issue on my side.
There we go. There we
Okay.
go.
Yeah, I lucid dream all the time. But talking about superpowers, I remember it was like 3 nights in a row I was lucid dreaming, and every night I was like in space, like fighting darkness with light. And it was all about recognizing that darkness through like the heart space, like the quality of like those that I was fighting, the quality of their heart, and recognizing darkness that way, but it was like a test for 3 nights in a row of doing that. But I remember when I was younger, my dad used to say to me that there's this like Native American saying about your dream world, that if you can learn how to control your dream world. So if you're lucid dreaming and you do those things that Kevin was mentioning, where you start manipulating your environment, manipulating what's happening in your dream, it actually makes you more powerful outside of your dream world. So one reflects the other, you know, either way you go. So that always stuck with me as a kid, but that's my 2 cents.
I also think of that movie, I think it's Doctor Strange with Benedict Cumberbatch, where he like picks up those ancient texts and he reads them in his night while he's like astral projecting. That's sort of like a exaggerated version of lucid dreaming, right? Like lucid dreaming is you're more in your mind, you're in dream world. Astral projection is like you're outside of your body. But that idea that you could like study or practice or work on something, and like, you know, let's say this group is like spiritual growth, like that's what we could do in our sleep, and to like use that time, not just like being dead, being a vegetable, like to actually like work on some things. Maybe work is the wrong word, but to like utilize that time in like
Right.
in a productive manner, like feels really, really attractive, really interesting. I want to actually hear more about like just the closing part, and I don't want to interrupt anyone, so we'll let whoever is ready to speak. But the last point you talked about, Kevin, you said there was like it changed your life essentially, but like that was the smallest point of it. Like I'd love to hear more about that, like how it did and like how you found it and what the shifts were after that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, you know, the talk isn't about me, but like, you know, I discovered Waking Life, the movie, when I was 22. And at the time I was like a college kid, and, you know, was like sort of angsty about what I was going to do career wise, and, you know, like finding a girlfriend, and it like, it kind of just made me chill a little bit, because knowing that there was something inside of myself that had no external constraints, that like nothing I had to achieve, just getting good at it, and I could engage in something that would make me happy or give me pleasure, and like it was completely independent from me having a job or like having a girlfriend, and I can just do way cooler shit like in my dreams, and not have to depend on any of those sort of external constraints. Made me just like chill when it came to choosing what I wanted to do with my life and choosing who I wanted to be around. And it made me a little bit more introspective, and kind of led to me getting into meditation when in my mid, you know, I spent probably 4 years reading about Buddhism before I actually just like learned to sit still. So it was like a long time of circling it before I actually got into it. But you know, sort of Zazen and Buddhism is where my practice took itself after getting into lucid dreaming. But yeah, I don't know. It's there's no like A/B test where like I didn't discover waking life and like I went off to become an investment banker or something like that. You know, like I don't know what I would have done without it, but that's sort of how I think it changed me. And it's just so fucking cool. It's like better than any action movie or any video game. Like it's better than virtual reality, you know. It's just so crazy that it is so many things. And Rachel, I wanted to comment on what you said about the Native American myth that like who you are in your dreams affects who you are in your, I don't remember exactly what you said, but there's this thing that are in neurology, that the neurons that fire together wire together. So like if you're just going into your dreams and like doing something evil, like mowing down a bunch of people, like it's Grand Theft Auto, then like, you know, you might be incurring some spiritual debt. Whereas if you're like really engaging with the source of your ideas and trying to create lots of peace, then, you know, I think that creates different neural firings in your mind. And so, you know, I wouldn't pass judgment on anyone who has any vices they want to do in their dreams, but I would just keep in mind that you'll probably run out of the more hedonistic things that you want to do after after, you know, a little while, and you'll want to engage with deeper things. Like your whole thing about putting out darkness with the light. I think that's really interesting.
Can I ask?
Oh, Joey, I think
Joseph,
Joey
yeah, and then
wanted to
Vedran.
say- Yeah.
Was curious if anyone had any tips on how to start lucid dreaming. I've gone to quite a few lectures on it, and basically the main thing that seemed to be synonymous across the board with all of them is intend when you fall asleep. Just repeat to yourself,
Sure.
I will lucid dream over and over and over again, and ideally until you fall asleep. And it could take that night, it could take a week, it could take a couple years. I haven't practiced doing it for a couple years yet, so I can't say I've tried that route yet. But if there are any extra tips anyone had, or things that were different than that as a general tip to get into it, that'd be awesome.
I really found dream journaling to be something that I could do in order to follow through on my intent to do it, and just like doing reality checks. It sounds silly, but doing reality checks like every 15 minutes in my waking day made it so I did them in the night. But curious what has worked for others. Rachel, it sounds like you lucid dream a lot. I'd be curious for you, what's worked.
I do, but I don't know how to teach anyone else how to do it. It just happens automatically. Sorry.
I wanted to ask you, did you ever try to communicate with plants or other entities that are not human? Or did you, and do you have gatherings, like do you meet other people while you are dreaming? Is it normal? Is it common thing?
I remember reading a book that said that you could meet other people in the dream world. I've never been able to do it, but it's really interesting. I definitely have like felt like I've had conversations with bright lights in my dreams, but it just sounds completely silly to like, it sounds silly to say that out loud in like our waking lives, but I can't remember the substance of it. I would have to check my dream journal. I don't know, Rachel, how about you?
Yeah, I meet beings all the time in my dreams. All the time, and they take different shapes. So and I would say, Kevin, if they're showing up in light form, it's just, you could say it's the form in which you're most comfortable seeing that energy.
Interesting.
Yeah, so whatever's happening in your dream, it's for you and how you're going to understand something or perceive something. So but yes, I see, I meet lots of different beings in my dream time.
Have any of you tried to experiment with time traveling? I assume time is not an issue in that state, right?
Well, I'll say is it's not, because you know, in the world we've created, we think of time as a linear thing, and it's not actually that. So you can go visit, if you will, anywhere you want in your dream time, and that's the hard part, I'd say. Once you're conscious that you're in a dream state and you're seeing and experiencing it, then there's like the manipulation of it, like, okay, this is what I want to do, or this is when I want to go. Yeah, so that's like, I would say the harder, like once you get there, that's the challenging part of it.
I think Sparrow has her hand up. She's using the actual hand up button. I don't even know where that button is, but good for you. Oh, I can't hear you though, Sparrow. I can't hear your audio.
There. Use the tools that you're given, right? It has a thing to raise your hand. No, I just wondered, so I learned about lucid dreaming from reading the Red Book by Carl Jung, who purposefully used that as a means of accessing the collective unconscious, or that's how he discovered that there was something he termed the collective unconscious. So I just wondered if you'd ever had any experiences where you felt like you know, you were talking about an inner knowing inside yourself, but have there ever been any times when it felt like it was, you know, a knowing beyond you that you're sort of getting from out there? No?
Cheryl, what was the question for? Is it,
Well, for anyone who practices regularly, I guess.
I've never practiced, so I can't answer the question.
well,
I mean, I've never been successful.
Never practice. Where is the hand? Can you hear me? Hi, hello. Well, I'm Lou. Sorry to turn on my camera late, but I've been listening. So I introduce myself. I'm Lou, and I'm designer. And my last couple of years was very intense. Like I bet, like everyone else, and asking about myself and the way I took to reach this place in my life. Not in the figurative way, but more like how I feel now. And I've been doing into the yoga, changing my my lifestyle, and also experimenting meditation. I live in many places, and the places I live, I learn everything I could from people, places, and ideas, you know, and I'm a mix of all of it. So, and talking about lucid dreams, sometimes is I realize the lack of time feeling, you know. It's like it is something you can't feel, but you know it is there, right? But in my last couple of years, I started to change that idea and thinking about time like a convention, you know, like a social convention, collective convention, right? Because I'm a link between the me of the past and what you potentially could be in the future, right? So, and I live from this point in my life. So sometimes I just decide to stop everything and appreciate the small things that the creator put in my way, in my path, you know, like maybe it's a very small butterfly, or I don't know, or a memory, you know, and be enough brave to overcome old scars, you know. And meditation, I'm not, I don't have any sponsor, so this is, but I've been practice meditation, and all these stuff are very clear in my mind right now. For example, with my time. In China, I learned a concept of make time, you know, and make time sometimes for me is walk very, very slow, you know, and talking with someone else, maybe sending a voice note or whatever with my brothers, but it's more like be aware of what is happening. And I think meditation is a way to reach, or at least can feel there is something else. So that's my experience.
Paslar, go for it.
Thank you.
No, you were first.
Go for it. It's fine. It's fine.
No,
I just wanted
to
to quickly mention that this Second technique in Healthline that Kevin shared with us has been, without me knowing it, that it has been helping me loving the dreams that I've been experiencing in the morning, because I have to wake up at a certain hour after like 5 hours usually, and then I wake up, I have a meeting, and then I get more sleep, and then I love that sleep, and I love the dreams that I experience in that, and without even knowing that this is something that. But yeah, it's been with me for so long that I live for that, like 1 hour, 2 hours sleep that I experience after that meeting in the morning. And yeah, and I think getting to a state where you get unconscious and you let go is the key point. The way you get there, either in lucid dreaming, I've been also experiencing with transcendental meditation. I know it's been commercialized a lot, but it helps me to, like, listening to some music that doesn't make sense has made me love music in lyrics that I don't understand, in languages that I don't understand. And now I can get why it's been so interesting to me so far. And I just want to mention one more thing, and then hand it over to Yaler and Diana. Regarding what the Sparrow and the Vedron and the others, I think, mentioned, that did you experience this or did you experience that, time travel or all-knowing being or things like that? I think it's very dependent on your own worldview, how your own personality has been created through your life experience. Rachel sees the fighting the darkness with light, or someone else is interested in, can I experience in time travel, or can I experience the whole being that is. And I think it's all very based on our own experience in life and what we internally believe, and they might not necessarily be the same. That's all I wanted to say. Please, Yaler or Diana, what's going on? David Lynch, that's the one. Yeah, I got it from David Lynch.
I hope I'm pointing in the right direction, but Diana, please. You're muted though. Unmute. You're muted.
You're pointing at Simona, but okay. I have no idea how this works either. Well, hello everybody. This is a wonderful talk. I have never lucid dreamed myself. I became interested in this talk because I'm also in my mid-20s. It's like I'm hearing myself, Owocki. Okay, yeah, the 20s are the years. But actually, I became interested in the talk because I'm seeing more and more maybe mental guidances. Like everybody went through a mental breakdown collectively, and we're all trying to help each other sort of way. Because I'm seeing a lot of this kind of chats. This is the first time that I joined one, and I'm very interested in the maybe changes that these kind of practices can bring. I'm not used to meditation. I do prayer. It kind of helps. But that kind of mental exercise, I've only used it for anxiety. And I don't know if it has anything to do with it. I used to do a little bit of yoga, but I do mostly exercise because I'm very competitive. It's nothing like like for mental introspective. I'm very curious though. If I can be a little bit blunt about it, I'm not from a background where I can dive into my feelings and be introspective in order to move forward. So I see this as some kind of privilege to have the time for it, to really think how I feel and how to move forward with it. Let's not speak about lucid dreaming. But I'm very interested in this kind of tools. how would you guys, of those who have started to practice lucid dreaming or have already been on it for a while, what are the tips that you would give to people who are just starting with it, and what can I expect to change after I start this practice?
I think that that's totally fair, and it's probably something that I should have recognized in my talk, is that, you know, I have sufficient sort of the lower parts of Maslow's hierarchy of needs taken care of, and that's what's allowed me to be privileged enough to pursue this as, you know, pursuing spiritual growth obviously comes second after securing housing and food and safety and all those I don't want to presume anyone else's, like, those are just the things that I take for granted. In terms of what changes, I think that it's really up to you what you do with it. You can kind of treat it like an action film that's just entertainment, or you can treat it as a way of creating self-actualization and discovery of yourself. And so it just sort of depends on which path you take. It's a tool that can take you down multiple paths, but yeah, I think that's how I think about it. I'm sorry, you're probably looking for a more tangible answer than that, but self-actualization is what I think I was after in spiritual growth.
No, that's it, really. I'm a very introspective person. This is very weird to talk with strangers, but here we are. I'm a very introspective person. So I do reflect a lot out loud. That's not my child. And so I've been. That's a condom ad right there. So I was just wondering on what tools people use. Like, I've never like really read these biographies. You know how some people go like, oh, I want to know how Steve Jobs got to be so successful. I wonder what Elon Musk is doing to be where he is right now, you know. And I've never read the practices of successful people, but I do have started wondering now, the more that you surround yourself with entrepreneurs and you surround yourself with founders and creators and developers, the more that you want to know what are they doing to be in the mental place that they need in order to develop actually their creativity and you know, like, unlock your mind. This is really a talk about unlocking your mind, I see. What type of barriers, if I might ask, because this is a totally personal question, but maybe we can like identify ourselves. What kind of barriers, mental barriers, have you guys found to identify and get rid of after starting this type of meditations?
I would love to comment on what you're saying, Diana, from my own perspective. I don't know about specifically around like meditation, the barriers there, besides for myself, not being able to sit still. So doing moving meditations, doing like some activity where I feel like I'm getting my energy flowing, like but I'm also like being calm. It can also be like a walking meditation, breathing meditations that Rachel has a bunch of, some kind of interesting mantras that I think it was Paslar is talking about in crazy languages that I have no idea what they are, but the words have a lot of power to them because they're very ancient. They've been around for a long time, and take that for what you will. But there are power to words, English words, you know, any words, they all have a certain power. The other part is I'm going to butcher this, but it's like, you are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself, something like that. And I truly, truly believe the more you surround yourself with people who are on a path of growth, a path of evolution, who desire to better themselves, to improve their reality and the reality of those around them, the more you will be impacted by that. And the more you will be elevated in the way of thinking, the way of showing up, the way of being present for people. And, you know, I don't mean to like bring this back to Ethereum, but it's like you find these people in this space who have these amazing big ideas and these wonderful visions for an alternate reality on top of the one that we've kind of default built right now. And for me, I find that inspiration to be incredibly empowering and uplifting. And it gives me the sense that wherever I am, whoever I'm with, we're building towards something that's much, much greater than what anything has been done before, and that will serve people in a much more powerful way than has been done with the current existing reality. And with that, I'll put a pin in it. A bunch of people have their hands up. I hope that helps.
I just wanted to make a comment really quick about looking at your belief system. So not even going to meditation yet, but just your everyday life, because we all have a conditioned belief system, and it's beginning to recognize what we've been taught to believe, or whether it's culturally, that's usually how it's formed, and changing that belief system around so that you can allow yourself to be more open, more receptive to your own wisdom, universal truths, things like that. That's what I would recommend. But Joey's had his hand up for a while.
Thanks. I was curious, maybe if someone had a different thought of this from when you were sharing, Diana, and thinking like, and maybe you meant it a little differently, but when you shared about like emotionally opening up, I'm wondering maybe in the lucid dreaming element that there's a very like, there can be a very cerebral element to it, and potentially an only cerebral, a safe cerebral space to like explore seeing things and experiencing things more so than maybe feeling them initially, at least. And it's available in the lucid dreaming world to explore that. And like, I think Gaylor had mentioned earlier about going off and like studying or learning while in a lucid dream. And that always has made sense. If we're just going to be sleeping, it sounds like a cool time to go learn a bunch of stuff, or go put ourselves in some sort of like Hogwarts training school or whatever kind of training school we want to have. Anyway, one of the things I had raised my hand earlier was because I had met a person when I was traveling in Ecuador who had a pretty interesting reality where we were playing pool, and at one point he went, I remember this moment, because apparently, well, he dreams he sometimes time travels accurately into the future, which maybe is a bit trippy to say that, but take it, I guess, however you want, a grain of salt, a grain of sand. And that he had actually experienced the moment of us playing pool together within his dream a couple weeks earlier. And then we chatted about that a little bit, and he was explaining how he was actually working on a project that somehow was sponsored by the US government that was trying to figure out, he was wanting to know if he was creating the whole world himself in his lucid dreams, or if he was connecting to other people in a simultaneous dream, as if like all of us here in this meeting could individually connect collectively into like a collective dream, and to know the difference between the two, which was, I thought, really fascinating, that like you could expand the dreaming even beyond yourself, rather than just project everyone that you know into your reality of your dream.
Trippy, indeed. No, this is so quite interesting. Yeah, that was just the question that I've been having. Like, at least when you go through a lot of personal sudden changes, like being an immigrant, for example, you go through a lot of changes, sometimes slowly, and sometimes it feels like all at once, and you don't really have the chance to center and really ground and go from there. You don't really have the time to figure out how you feel. You just have to move forward. So it's a very interesting time to also start finding tools to maybe move as fast as the rest of the people who are already grounded. It's a very weird, I don't want to say race because it's not about a race, but it's a very interesting way to try to gain the growth that you need to find your potential. And as Jaylor said with his own words, of course, it's about finding purpose. Like when you have a real purpose, that's when you really find like a like a sense of being centered and in peace. So that's very cool. In and outside of Ethereum, because I have to be impartial here. Uh, but yeah, this is all very interesting, guys. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I just wanted to say quickly, I think to your point, Diana, that space that's created through practices like meditation or intentional lucid dreaming or other kind of practices, many other practices, that's the point, right? If we have a lot of tension and life feels like a race and we're trying to go somewhere, we need to create space for ourselves, or like it's a useful thing to do. It's a helpful thing to do. And that's like the whole ethos of Metaspace, right? We're creating this space of intentionality, bringing people together, sharing ideas and thoughts and practices. But that practice of creating more space creates more space. It's super meta, right? But the space exists inside of you because it's our conception of what space is. So if we think we don't have time to make space for ourselves or time for our routine or our meditation routine, we just have to rethink that. We have to redesign that, because spaciousness is something that we define through our actions and through our perception of how our time is spent. So that we need to be thinking of ourselves not as a subject of external forces, but as like the center of where our time and energy is spent, so that we can then direct it in the most productive and most useful ways for getting to whatever our goals are, whatever our life path is, and finding that sense of fulfillment and those communities that can help us get to where we want to go. Mel.
Hey guys, how are you? I've been wanting to comment for a bit. It's just I'm altering between work and but just a couple of comments here. One, so glad that this is a conversation we're having. I'm so glad that this space is here. Two, Diane Owocki, Kevin, and everyone who's commented, thank you so much. I wanted to touch upon some of Diana's comments, and you know, I was just having a conversation with one of my best friends. She's like a cousin to me. We grew up together, both immigrants in New York. We're both Colombian, and we were just talking about because we have someone that we also know, her actual blood cousin, and he's not very, successful and motivated and things like this. And we were just talking about how did we get here, and like how did we get so lucky to kind of really manifest the life we want, right? And so it all went back to community. And I want to touch upon that point that you mentioned, Yaller, which was, you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, and community is everything. Like community, my God, I am so grateful and lucky for the community that's been around myself. And, I think you can keep manifesting that, right? And so one of the things I'd say is I also grew up Catholic. Like I am, I grew up praying. I grew up very religious. And I'm not anymore, honestly. I now say I'm very spiritual. And I'll give my quick sense on this from what I've noticed in my reflection. The light's turning off. It's been that I see meditation, like you said, prayer. I think it's all you're kind of focusing on this idea of what you want to attract, in many different ways. And I think that that whole focus and that exercise of concentrating and going to that place, normally sometimes when people pray, they also are very grateful. Thank you for all the things. Thank you for. So I think that gratuity also comes into that manifestation. And overall, my sense on religion is that it can be used as a tool. I think it brings a lot of fear. And so in different ways, don't do this, don't do that, you're going to go hell. I don't really believe in these things anymore. I think that coming from a place of fear is very dangerous. And instead, coming from a place of, this is going to sound really cheesy, but love and gratuity and just community and this kind of thing really makes a huge difference. And my life has been changed, like for the past 2.5 years. Funny enough, all the Ethereum people are gonna love this. Somehow it kind of had to do with Ethereum. Basically, I was in Crypto Chicks last year in Canada, and I met Marguerite, crypto artist. She's amazing. I love her. And her really good friend Ali was there, and we met in New York, and one thing led to the other, and experimented with different psilocybins and started going down this journey, but in ceremony, started going down this journey of spirituality, and it's really changed my life to understand everything that can be done. And so I would just say, Diana, girl, do it. I think that this community is here and is definitely going to be a great support and help. And I'd say just kind of getting in tune with yourself, right? Because we are the universe says, really helps with that intuition. My God, is it insane? When you're actually aligned and these things start happening, from the manifestation that I've seen in the last few months, that I'm still, okay, what do we really want? Right? But, from the type of apartment I wanted, to have a balcony, because it's important for me to be able to go outside in fucking New York, right? All of these things, it's so freaking trippy, but it really does work. And the other thing I'd say with dreams is that I think that we definitely can travel. I think time is a construct. I don't think that just because this is something, actually, I should say, my spiritual guide spoke with me about, and I'm still kind of processing, but I asked her, I said, do you believe in past lives? Do you think in all these things? And, everyone has their own opinion. I'm not saying one is wrong and one is right, but it was interesting, her point of view. She said, time is a construct, and we go into these different, it's just like different dimensions. It's like you in another dimension, and you can tap into that that other space when you dream or when you meditate and these kinds of things. And one of my memories as a child that just really led me to think that there's something else was, this is going to be try to make a short story. I had to present in first grade with maracas, because I was Colombian. We were doing an international thing, and I had a dream that I was presenting and these maracas just exploded. And I had a dream of this. I don't know if it was the night before or 2 nights before, but whatever. And I'm freaking in the first grade playing with these maracas, and it was like deja vu. They exploded, and it was one of those things where, you start thinking was that me? Did I do that? Or did I see into the future? Or all of these different things. And as a kid, you don't really know, right? But to touch upon that point, I think as children, I think we actually are more awake and intuitive, but we don't really are spoken about how to use those tools, right? Or how that looks like and what all that means. And I think in different cultures, you're, rushed into religion or whatever. So Diana, I totally support this kind of journey. I'm so glad that you decided to jump on the call today. I'm glad I decided to jump on as well because I haven't really been doing it. And yeah, that's kind of my comments.
I just want to say thank you to everyone. We've come up to an hour, which is double the time we usually take for Wednesdays. And I want to thank Kevin for sharing. And if we can stay around, if people want to keep talking, that's fine too. But if Kevin or anyone needs to go, feel free. Like you can leave.
Thanks so much for having me. It was fun to share this with you, and I'll see you around Metaspace.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks everybody.
Kevin. Super great to hear this side.
Thank you.
I'm gonna leave too. See you soon, guys. Thank you very much, Rachel, Yayler, everyone.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for
everyone.
sharing this space. Bye-bye. Ciao.
Ciao. Are we staying on? Can we stay on here for a few more minutes? I don't have a meeting until another hour, so.
But can we stop recording because I'm a
Yeah.
this is a little bit